Welcome to People Who Plan, the show where we go inside the minds of modern operators to learn how planning and operation leaders actually run their teams. I'm your co-host, Jeremy Pomp, alongside Michael Rossiter, and today we are joined by Jennifer Hernandez, Director of Operations at BK Beauty. Jennifer runs the entire supply chain for a fast-growing beauty brand, planning, forecasting, fulfillment, all of it, on a deliberately lean stack that, in her words, still runs on spreadsheets. She's also one of the most inspiring AI adoption stories I've come across. In about 2 months, she went from downloading Claude for the very first time to running her operation with it every single day. And the path that got her here, 15 years at Target, then Kendra Scott, now BK Beauty, is a masterclass in betting on yourself. Jennifer, welcome to the show.
And remind us, do you prefer to go by Jennifer or Jen?
Either is fine, just never Jenny. Thanks to Michael. Now I'm obsessed.
I wasn't there in that meeting, but I watched that and I was just so impressed actually with your questions and your openness around it. And
Oh,
I've
thank
been
you.
looking forward to this conversation
Oh,
because of that energy that
no.
you brought in that meeting.
Well, thank you. I
Yeah.
feel I love the startups community just so much, and I want it to be successful. And in any meeting and webinars in particular, because so many people hold back for whatever awkward feeling they have, they don't want to ask a question or whatever the case may be. I can't stand that. I feel a responsibility to participate in any room that I'm in to try to get people engaged, but they were genuinely honest questions. And I don't, Michael, remind me, like, how long ago was that? Like 2 months, maybe?
Yeah, probably something like that.
It's been a minute. I feel like the amount in which I have used Claude between then and now is just insane.
That's awesome.
I don't know what I would do without it. And I feel like I represent this this group of people who truly I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just figuring it out a little bit every day. I'm not a coder or like I'm just a girl that's just trying to make her life easier. And I think that's what compels me to talk about it because you can't, it's so attainable. And on the call that we were on, I literally started something from scratch. And by the end of the call, it was a live artifact. It's really not as hard as I think people would expect it to be. And as much as I hate to ever give the advice to just get in there and play with it, like unfortunately that's the best way to use it. And it's changing constantly. I feel like I have to reload Claude every single day because something has updated. And now I'm like, wait, cowork is in the chat. Like I don't okay.
I
I'm
don't know if I approve of that change, actually.
yeah, I'm a very much like a creature of habit and muscle memory. So I found myself going to cowork and I'm like, wait, where'd it go? And I thought maybe they had gotten rid of it altogether because there's some things that they have gotten rid of or now they're called something else. And it's that part is hard, but also exciting because I do feel like they're just continuing to tweak it and just make it like better and better. But the who moved my cheese in me gets frustrated when a button moves.
Yeah, I think with all the changes they're making, like it's just a little bit each day, right? So by the
But it's funny because that becomes intimidating for folks to hear about, and then it's like you simultaneously feel like you're falling behind, and also that it's really hard to start. But the irony is, I don't know if you all have this experience, but just going to a barbecue and everyone's just talking about AI all the time, and it's both like, I mean, obviously I talk about it all day long every day, but it becomes a bit exhausting. Um, but then you go and you talk, and it's like you can tell who's using Claude and who's not based on just the quality of their observations about it. It's like,
Mm,
right? And it's like, I think for a lot of people who aren't in it, like our society just has such a negative bias in general towards everything.
literally everything. Yes, yes, yes.
Everything.
We're
Everything.
skeptical of anything that is new, 100%.
Everything.
Everybody's great with change until change happens, and then it's a disaster.
Yeah, and it's like that old thing of like a movie critic or a film critic. It's easier to be the critic who says things are negative versus just going in and building and creating. And
Hmm.
I think if people went in and started to build and create, it feels awesome. You feel like you have superpowers.
It's oddly addicting. And I think that's why I'm in it so much, because anytime I'm doing anything, I'm like, how can Claude make this better for me? I'm just going to, and ask it. That's literally what I do. I talk to Claude as if I'm very well aware that it is not a real person, but I communicate with it as if it's my right hand, like a human assistant. And I start thinking about what else I could make it do, both personally and professionally. And I have to limit my time. I mentioned that there's some nights that I look over and I realize it's 8 o'clock and I'm still at the office because I'm just continuing to go down these rabbit holes of building things. And I know that investment is ultimately going to pay off. And it already has. I go to
Yeah.
the gym more than I ever have. I'm like home to hang out with my daughter more than before, because I'm not stuck in these tedious tasks that are not particularly hard. But the way that I've been able to integrate Claude into so much of what I do, I mean, it's truly life changing. I'm really lucky that our founder has been pushing AI literally since I started. I've been here 2.5 years, and he kept saying, incorporate really ChatGPT at the time in everything that you do. And I never really connected with ChatGPT. At the time, at least, ChatGPT was terrible when it came to anything data related. And I just couldn't, I wasn't into it. And I was the typical skeptic of, what is AI? What is it doing? How much water are we wasting? I like to drink water while I use AI so that I'm just double dipping. But and societal concerns aside, just like any other technology that's been introduced in our lifetime, when I was in school, the internet barely existed. You didn't say, oh, just Google it. You went to a library and you looked it up. That's happened in the last 50 years. And this is just the next iteration of that in my mind.
Yeah.
I'm really grateful that our founder has been so headstrong about it, because he's obsessed and it's made his life so much better. And I'm glad that other operators have also influenced me to find a tool that did work. Charles is always sharing the cool stuff that he's doing, and he's one of the smartest people I think I've ever come across. But it is extremely inspiring, and being parts of those conversations like the one that we had and hearing how other people are using it really just continues to spark that creativity of, how can I leverage this to make my life easier?
I'm curious, what are like 3 things that you've built recently that you're excited about?
I'm the head of ops at BK Beauty, and I have the full supply chain from planning and forecasting all the way through delivery to the end customer and everything that comes in between. And I have a fantastic team. I have a great fulfillment manager. I have a great facilities manager, but most of the execution really is still falling on me. So I'm like partially an analyst, partially a planner, everything. And so there's a lot of information in this giant head that shouldn't be there. I don't need to waste time thinking about the individual cogs for a SKU, but I have to, because I'm in that every day and it's all on spreadsheets. We have a very lean tech stack. I can't even really call it a stack. Shopify is our source of truth for everything. We don't have an ERP. We don't have a WMS. We self-fulfill. We use ShipStation for that. Everything is very simple, and it's by design, and it's completely appropriate given our business case. One day we'll have those tools, but it's just not necessary right now. We can get by doing what we're doing. And I'm proud to say that we do everything on spreadsheets still. Again, one day we will graduate beyond that, but for now, it really does work. And Claude just makes it that much easier. So things as simple as, I'm often referencing how many cases are on a pallet for this SKU, because when I place a purchase order, I want to make sure that I'm ordering in pallet quantities as often as possible, just for ease of execution for all parties involved. And now I can just ask Claude, hey, here are all these SKUs that I know I need to put on this PO. You know what MOQ is. I just dump everything that I know into Claude. And then I don't have to remember any of that when I'm executing these tasks. So now writing a PO takes me 10 minutes maybe, versus before when I would look at it for potentially hours just to make sure that I wasn't missing something. So the last thing you want is to send your supplier a PO that doesn't make sense. It's in the wrong denominator or not the pallet quantity that I was looking for. There's a workflow that one of my proudest ones, and this was actually something that was influenced by another person in startups who was telling me that she was doing something relatively similar. Whenever I do all of our freight forwarding as well, And when our supplier sends us documents related to a PO, it's one PDF that I then have to break apart into separate pieces so I can upload the documents appropriately into the freight forwarder's portal. I then have to take the information from the commercial invoice to fill out a customs form that has to be declared with every single thing that we bring in. And I have to send that to them manually. The flow that I've built in Claude, I literally just take that document packet, upload it once. It splits out the documents the way that I need them split out, names them the way that I need them named, drafts an email to our broker, fills out the customs form that I need to fill out. All I have to do is download those documents and then plug them into the places that I need to plug them into, because unfortunately there's no MCP to our freight forwarder system yet. When it does that, then I'm going to be able to truly kick back. But that's it. I literally upload these documents and I'm like, this is in regard to PO whatever, which it already has, because since I upload POs to Claude as well, it's referencing those documents. It's just seamless. I just sit back and it does it in 5 minutes.
So
and then
you,
it also files those documents in Google Drive so that I have them to reference later. We use ClickUp for all project management, which is also very AI driven. Claude will update ClickUp tasks for me in the sort of bootleg transportation management system that I've built in ClickUp. So again, all by just uploading a document packet and saying this is in regard to PO, whatever, shipment, whatever, go. Done.
So,
It's amazing. It's like having 4 more people on my team.
we're all in the phase of building and automating, and then the system's in place, and then there's just so much to put in place and structure, but then you hopefully get to a point where, yeah, you get to choose the labor leisure trade-off for my microeconomics. Some of that gets redeployed into more strategic work. Some of it gets deployed into getting to see our families, hopefully.
Yes. A little bit of both. I feel like it also goes back into continuing to invest in the automation. Now
Right.
that I have freed myself up, none of us really felt like we had the time to invest in this. And it really is about buckling down and making the time, because that will free you up to continue. It's this snowball effect, if you will. And inspiring other people around me, whether that's fellow operators in our network or just the team, to, hey, can Claude help you do that? Can ChatGPT help you do that? However, just reminding people that it's okay to use these tools. I'm, again, very grateful to work for a company that is embracing it and not a stop block. I literally, if I find a new connector that I want, I'm a Slack away from asking for permission if it's not already granted, to getting that to happen. So we're able to move really, really fast here.
what I like about your story so much when it comes to AI is that you talk about being an operational excellence, but focusing also on people and strategy and your team. And what I like about what you're saying is that the tedious work is being taken care of through AI more, which is freeing you up to maybe have more time to focus on. Obviously, we mentioned outside of work, but also inside too, right?
One of the other nice to have things that I've done is I come into, well, as soon as I open my computer, the one thing that Claude, that I haven't figured out, my computer does have to be on and open for Claude to run automation.
Yeah.
I do have something that runs every morning about 15 minutes after I arrive to give me my daily breakdown. It scans my email, it scans my Slack, it scans ClickUp, so that I know what my focuses are for the day. And that has also helped me make sure that I'm not forgetting things. And for the team aspect, that's referencing Slack conversations that I'm having with people. So if there's anything that is needed of me urgently when I walk in the door, if I haven't already addressed it, then Claude is reminding me, okay, go take care of this person's question or whatever the case may be. I literally sit on the warehouse floor so that I can be there for the fulfillment team. I see what's in my racks. I'm very connected to the full operation. And to your point, yeah, like those tedious tasks that I was performing 6 months ago that were, I don't want to say wasting my time, they were necessary. But now that I've gotten so much time back, I do have time to spend with people. I do have time to show other people, hey, look what I built in Claude, or like one of my current in progress things, we sell makeup brushes. And we have customers sometimes that will reach out for recommendations. And these are customers that might have been purchasing items for us since we launched in 2019, and they have a collection already. There's no way for Shopify, as far as I know, to tell you a customer's history at the SKU level. But I'm building something in Claude where I can take that customer's email address, plop it in there, and it will generate, this is all of the brushes that they already own. These are the ones that they don't own, and then build a knowledge base to help recommend their next purchase for our team.
Yeah.
Which in current state, we have customers that have ordered 30 times. It's very difficult to go through and try to figure out what they're missing or what they haven't ordered. But with the Shopify integration, you can see order details within Claude. So just let Claude do the work and then actually engage with the customer more intently, because you didn't just waste a bunch of time trying to piece together their order history.
There's a piece here we were talking about earlier about how, as an individual, you jump in and start getting on the learning curve and just getting comfortable. How do you think about this from like a teaming perspective? Are you getting it sounds like your founder is very AI pilled, for lack of a better term, but like, yeah, like as a leader, how do you think about getting the team to use it, and how does it change the way the team works together?
We're a very small team in general. The entire company is about 10 full-time people. We've got some folks in marketing, and then our founders, and then the small operations team I just mentioned. We have a Slack channel where we talk about AI all the time and share different things that we've started doing to try to inspire one another. I think that the team's willingness to say, hey, I just did this and this was really cool, or hey, I just found this there, give this a try. Because we each have our own preferred tool, I would say. Some people are still very gung-ho on ChatGPT, and some people are like all in on Claude. The knowledge sharing, I think, is neat. There's one gal in particular who we tend to be in the office later than everybody else, and we will geek out together. We have a Claude happy hour, essentially, from 5 to 6, and show each other what we're doing. Or, oh, you could try it this way. Because just like many things, like Excel, there's 4 different ways to get to the same end result. It's just whichever one is the most comfortable or the most intuitive to you is how you should use it. So we'll swap stories, and our brains work a little bit differently. So we have different approaches. So that's one. I think we inspire each other by just sharing what we're up to. We do use projects within Claude as well to ensure that people have access to the tools that we're building and can contribute to them as such. And really, I think with the wonderful gals that report to me, just talking to them about where are your pain points and how can we leverage, just start thinking about how you can leverage Claude. If you had a human assistant, like what would you want that person to do for you? And just think about it and then start playing with it and see what you could build.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of building like a shadow operating system for the business, right?
Even
Yeah.
things as simple as one day our stupid printer was not functioning, and I am not in IT, but we don't have an IT department. And so Claude was my IT department for the whole 2 hours that it took for me to fix the stupid printer. But then from that because I invested that much time in fixing it, at the end of it, I was like, okay, Claude, make a troubleshooting document based off of this conversation that now the rest of the team can reference. So that, I think, is how we continue to push and go beyond just using the tool for what you need in the moment, but how can it help build a foundation for the future to make everyone's lives easier down the road, or building SOPs within it based on whatever workflow you've just had it built. It already knows the process. So just go ahead and document it so that anybody else could look at it if they needed to do it manually, or if they can do something within the system.
Jennifer, we have just a few minutes left, and I can't have this conversation without pivoting a bit and asking you about your story. I'd love to know what pulled you towards operations in the first place and how you ended up running operations at BK Beauty?
When I was in high school, I wanted to be a doctor. And then I moved to Austin to go to the University of Texas. The University of Texas humbled me really quickly. And unfortunately, math and science were the two places that I was struggling with the most in at the collegiate level, which was not what I was used to. And I knew the grades that I was getting were not going to get me into medical school. So I had to pivot to something else. And I switched to government. And I was enjoying learning about government and business. I started working at Target when I was in high school. I kept getting promoted and ultimately did not finish college. That weighed on me for a very long time, that I wouldn't be able to contribute in a greater capacity because I didn't have my degree. At the time, Target had a ceiling where they wouldn't promote you beyond a certain level if you didn't have one. And so I ended up staying at Target for 15 years. And the last 18 months that I was there, I opted to move to logistics, work at 3 a.m, unload trucks, work in a freezer, go up and down ladders, manage the back room, manage the replenishment process. I had spent most of my career in apparel and accessories, but it was just a challenge that I really wanted to take on to make me a better leader, to make me a better team member, as Target refers to them. And I really fell in love with it. I had a really fantastic boss that helped mentor me during that process. And he ultimately left the company and was like, when are you leaving? Because you are capable of more than what you're going to be able to do within this building. And it was the kindest kick in the ass that I could have received, because I had been so self-conscious for so long about not graduating and feeling like there was no way I was ever going to do more. And that push led me to joining Kendra Scott, which is a local to Austin, but very large jewelry brand. And when I pivoted there, I was over e-commerce fulfillment. And that was at the very beginning. That was 2016. So e-commerce was still really, I don't want to say infancy, but toddler level, maybe.
Compared to now, especially.
Yeah. And so we had physical brick and mortar stores. Our distribution center also fulfilled wholesale and retail. We had 400 orders a day on a slow day. By the time I left in 2022, we were at 90,000 orders on Cyber Monday. But during my time there, I didn't stay in e-commerce. About 18 months in, I worked on our first warehouse management system. We were doing everything by hand prior to that. So I was on the WMS implementation team and fell in love with that project and the administrative, sales and operations planning types of roles. So I fell into this, like most operators, truly by accident, and just taking opportunities to push myself outside of my comfort zone whenever I could, just purely out of curiosity and wanting to be better at whatever job I was doing at that time. How do I apply the knowledge base that I already have to something else to be able to impact maybe something upstream that wasn't previously considered, so that the full throughput is just that much easier or more effortless, or whatever the case may be. My brain can't help but think of things in an end-to-end fashion. So I think operations was just a destiny to some degree that I never knew I would fall on, because again, I thought I would be in medicine. And instead I'm shipping makeup brushes all over the world, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
What an incredible story. You gotta love the bootstrapping, being on the quote factory floor, seeing the struggles firsthand, and then doing something about it, of leveling up in the organization or changing organizations and taking what you built, what you've learned from that. I love that story so much.
I'm grateful for every step of the way. If I hadn't worked at Target, I never would have worked at Kinder Scott. If I hadn't worked at Kinder Scott when I did, I never would have worked in a 3PL. Before Kinder Scott, I don't think I even knew what a 3PL was. And then landing here during our period of growth, which is bananas. What we have coming up is it's just that much cooler. So it's again why I'm grateful for these tools that are giving us more time and freedom to invest in the future of the business, because there's a lot of great things coming. We need to prioritize our time to the best of our ability.
We're gonna have to check back with you in 6 months, a year, see what you've built.
Yeah, we'll have to have you back on.
Yes.
We didn't even get to talk about TikTok and beauty and that whole really unique thing for the beauty industry.
That is why, my life can be really difficult, and I have to look at and this is another thing that I have been able to leverage Claude for. I have a TikTok watch list that I run sales on every single morning to see if they've overperformed for what I was expecting, so
Right.
that I can react a little bit faster. I looked at everything once a week, which I still do, but now I have this snapshot that comes through on my morning brief just to see if anything is doing anything crazy, because TikTok is so unpredictable. You think you know what's going to happen, and then overnight a video goes viral, the algorithm is obsessed with it. And then in January, we had a SKU that was selling 7 times its normal selling rate. And that is a brush that has been out since we launched in 2019, and it has never seen that level of velocity. And it sold out really quickly, because when you have something that's moving that rapidly, there's nothing you can do. So yeah. But now
Awesome.
Claude helps me find those things as fast as I possibly can, essentially.
That's great.
He's
Thank you so much for your time, for telling us your story, for showing how you've gone in 2 months from barely scratching the surface to
literally
now.
just downloaded it to my computer
There
like
you-
right before that call, and now I'm in it every day, all the time.
That's amazing. It's a great story and just shows what just starting, right? Like we talked about in the beginning, just getting started can really do and how much it can change your daily life,
Yeah.
inside and outside of work.
Yes. Yes.
Awesome.
True.
Jennifer, thank you so much.
Well, thank you both. I appreciate the support, and thank you for supporting startups. It really goes a long way, and we appreciate you.
Oh, thank you.
Take care.